Lassiter Factor.
What's up, all my movie loving maniacs? This is your boy Bangful B of the Lassiter Factor, and today I'm going to talk about 28 Years Later, which was released in theaters over the weekend. I went to the theater to go see it, so let's review. So 28 Years Later is more or less a sequel to 28 Days Later. I know a lot of y'all wondering, what about 28 Weeks Later? Well, trust me, like, you can do a lot of mental gymnastics to connect this to 28 Weeks Later, but otherwise, I know Danny Boyle has gone on record and saying, look, I'm not saying 28 Weeks Later didn't happen. I'm just not going to address it in this movie. But in any case, it's been 28 years since the rage virus broke out, and the whole UK has basically quarantined itself out from the rest of the world, even down to this little island in the middle of the ocean, and then we cross it going to the mainlands to get resources, but that's where the infected are. We focus on this family that lives within this society. The father takes his son into the mainlands, typical rite of passage, and then the mother of this family, she's not feeling too good, and then the second half of the movie basically turns into them looking to cure their mother. Now, the past 2 weeks, I've gone back and rewatched the first two films, 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, which I've done reviews for. You can check them out here. But overall, while they're not particularly my favorite zombie movies, I do respect them for the filmmaking, and I do get a kick out of watching them. 28 Weeks Later, I will say it was about to be my favorite of the two movies, but then the rest of the movie dropped them like, no, I think 28 Days Later is still better, but I still have fun with 28 Weeks Later. And so when I heard that 28 Years Later was coming out, I'm like, oh, we're going back to this world, sweet. Because I always wondered, even though I always wondered, so what happened to 28 months later? Now, how did I feel about 28 Years Later? I mean, I liked it, but didn't like it quite as much as the first two films. But I still enjoyed the filmmaking, the performances. I did think that this was a worthy follow-up to those two films, even though it kind of ignores 28 Weeks Later. But I hate to be one of those people to say this, but I just feel like this movie just wasn't what the trailer sold it to be, or at least just wasn't the vibe that the trailer sold it to be. But I'm not mad at what we got, I just wish we kind of gotten more. Now, I do like the world building in this movie. I mean, like I said, like it's been 28 years since the rage virus broke out, and the UK basically quarantined itself, and to the point where they're on this island in the middle of the ocean, and everybody's living together. Everybody has basically adapted, and if you need to get some food and resources, you have to go to the mainlands where the infected are. And apparently, since the rage virus, we've now gotten different groups of infected. There's the stronger ones, the fast ones, the regular ones. I mean, I don't know the logistics of it, but I do kind of wish we got just a little bit more development on how we got to this point. Now, they did bring back the same creative team for the very first film. You got Danny Boyle coming back to direct, and you got Alex Garland coming back to write. In fact, from what I understand, basically the first movie, 28 Days Later, basically inspired The Last of Us. And now it's come full circle because now The Last of Us has, in a way, inspired 28 Years Later. And even if I don't love this movie, I do admire the filmmaking on display. Like, I heard this movie was shot on iPhones, and it shows from the production, the quality, and it's very impressive because if you hadn't told me that this was shot on iPhone, you could have fooled me. And they even do this 360 bullet time technique that they use because in the movie they shoot arrows at the infected, and you might not like it, and that's totally fine, but to me, I was kind of impressed with it. It does take a minute to get used to, but overall I kind of enjoyed it. And I kind of alluded to this at the beginning of this review. This movie does feel like two different movies. On one hand, it feels like a father-son movie about a father taking his son on a rite of passage, and it kind of deals with that antagonistic relationship between the father and his son. But then in the second half, it basically turns into the son trying to help his mother cure her sickness, and then they run into somebody else. As for the performances, you got Aaron Taylor Johnson and Alfie Williams. This might be one of, if not my favorite performance by Aaron Taylor Johnson. I mean, he's basically that man's man, but at the same time, he's still playful and happy-go-lucky, and he's just trying to be optimistic, but also realistic in a world that is just unreal. And then you got his son, played by Alfie Williams. This kid right here, he was pretty decent. I can't wait to see what he does in the future in terms of acting. Then you got Jodie Comer, who plays the mother, who is very ill, and in which the second half is about most of the time. But she was also great in this film, as well as Ray Fiennes, who also doesn't come in until the end of the movie. And I tell you, Ray Fiennes, he is on a run right now between Conclave and then being cast in the new Hunger Games movie. And you see him here, and you can clearly see he bulked up for this movie. The only other gripe I have towards this movie is the ending, and I'm not going to spoil it, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and it kind of ties into the beginning of the movie. I'm like, so, what? In the end, I think this movie is worth the watch, but at the same time, you don't need a rush to go see it. But if you are a fan of these movies, and if you're one of those people that can walk away from this movie accepting it on its own terms, I think you will enjoy it. I'm going to give 28 years later the thumbs up emoji. Thank you so much for watching. Have you seen 28 years later? If so, let me know what you think in the comment section below. This is your boy Thankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands. Peace.